right, welcome back to another edition of the Trail Manor SingleTrack Session. We are number 38. That's 38. And we're going to make this, we got something different going on today, so we're going to make the first part of this a little quick. Yeah. A little sweet to the point. But let's just start off by our last episode.
That was a big one.
Number, what was that, 83?
I think so.
We had Anna Frost on the show.
I know, global running icon.
And just all-around amazing person, right?
She is. And I think she likes cheese curds now.
She does. We have a photo of her eating a deep-fried cheese curd.
Yeah.
So how is that? And I think she's just happy now. I think that was the missing piece.
Like she wasn't happy before?
Like pure bliss now,
right.
I think. So, yeah, we had a great time with Anna. Just amazing person, let alone athlete. I mean, we all know that, but the person part.
I know. And we spent quite a bit of time with her. Well, what I would consider quite a bit of time.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was obviously at the film festival on Friday night, which we would like to say was a success. We felt good about it.
Yeah.
And then Saturday at
Except for we ran out of beer.
We did, and that'll be that's
Rectified.
already
that'll be fixed.
That's number one on the list
right?
of things
that's
to change for next year.
Fully going to be fixed for next year. We're going to bring the full keg next year.
That's right, man. We're going to actually bring a lot.
Yeah.
So we, but yeah, other than that, the Saturday went well. The Kids K, like Joel mentioned before,
Favorite part
of the day.
Yeah.
Some great sponsors, great vendors, but overall, just a great, and it was a fun weekend. We got to meet a lot of people.
Yes. Maybe didn't get to meet as many people as I wanted to because we were so busy.
We were, and that's
right.
maybe number 2 on the list is, finding time.
Getting more volunteers for next year will help, which we've already started working on.
Yeah, can you believe that? Like 2 days after we're on a run talking about it.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Okay, this is what we need to do different. So
exactly.
But overall, I think it was a successful weekend. A lot of positive feedback.
Yep.
Got to lead, like we said, a lot of neat people.
Right.
And then, just the whole experience for us. So we got to enjoy it a little bit, too.
I'm already looking forward to next year for sure.
Me too. So, that was kind of the quick down and dirty. And
right.
You'll get to understand why it's the quick down and dirty. So this show's not forever.
Right.
Going to give a quick shout out to our buddy Simon in Australia. Just want you to know we're thinking about you.
Yeah.
And we can't wait to see you back. The post you had this last week was awesome. The Opera House. So I just want to give you a shout out.
That was one of the better ones that we had last week.
Yeah.
And Where Your Feet Take You.
Yeah. And there was a few.
Mm-hmm. There was.
And so we'll get up on that. But Turtle Tracker, basically we just saw Turtle.
Looking skinny.
He looks thin.
Except for he did the Twinkie 2 mile.
Yeah.
And that's like a good 2 pounds.
8 Twinkies in course record time, almost. He
got
beat. I think 2 people.
No, that kid beat him.
That one kid was running fast.
Yeah, but the course wasn't a full 400 meters.
Yeah, well, that'll be switched up a little bit next year, I think. But yeah.
It was funny. Every time those guys came through that were doing the Twinkie 2 miles, there was this audible groan from everybody that was kind of mingling about.
Yeah, it was pretty.
It was tough to see. That poor kid, and I do mean a kid.
He was a young kid.
He was like 15.
Maybe.
He didn't look so good.
He did not.
Yeah.
But he was a trooper. He did it.
Yeah, he finished it. Barely.
He went through the...
He had to walk.
He did. He went through the motion for a while, but he pulled it out.
Yeah, he had that come to Jesus moment, I think, at one point.
A couple times, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's just when we saw him.
Yeah. No telling what happened afterwards with that.
Yeah, but just, thanks for everybody's support on that.
Yeah.
And I know we've been focused on it for a while.
Right.
Things will switch up a little bit, but just, man, can't thank people enough, not just our community, but outside of our community.
Oh, yeah.
Some great people, great sponsors, friends, supporters, volunteers.
Right. Even support from around the country and around the globe.
Yeah. No,
we're local, but we're global.
Yeah, and we got a lot of great comments from people. Hope it went well. Things like that. So thank you so much. It was basically 3 events in 2 days: a film festival, a race, and an expo.
And the expo, I was really surprised at how well that went off.
Oh, it was, and even when you were on course
I was out marking the course, and I came back, and I'm like, holy cow, what just happened?
Exactly.
This expo just blew up in the park.
And we had a wind blow through and bust a couple people's canopies.
Yeah,
so
well, they're going to have to get a little bit more beefy canopies next year, won't they?
But if you've got anything for the Ogden Trail Running Festival, just reach out to us. Again, we're already in the works of year 2.
Yeah, I think for year 2, like we said, we'll make that Kids K bigger.
Yep.
Because that was so much fun.
Yeah, 31 kids.
Yeah, I'd like to see at least 100 next year.
Yeah, bibs, everything next year is full on going to be legit.
It will. We'll have some sort of finisher's medal. That'll be unique to them.
Yep.
And then for the adults, we'll have the Gibbs Wallace race.
Yep.
I've been thinking about that a little bit.
Yeah.
I'd like to see. I can extend that race. I can make it longer.
Oh.
I can make it 10 to 13 miles, I think.
Wow.
I'll look out. I'm going to see how the course flows, and then we can maybe have like a 5K-ish as well.
Good. That'd
have
be good.
2 of them, right?
That'd be good. And a lot of
Something
people
like
like
that.
the course. I mean, there's a lot of people, it's not easy like we talked
legit.
about.
It's very challenging.
And they liked it, marked well.
Yeah.
No issues.
Nope.
That went off super well.
Right. And I think we can bump that prize money next year, too.
Wow.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Not for us.
Yeah, well, we'll fix that.
So, yeah, this year we did, if you didn't know, first place men and women got Sunto Spartan watch.
So that's a $500 value.
Yep, right there. And they were handed to them on the spot. Brand new.
Yeah.
Second was $100 cash,
right.
Both men and women. And then third place was $50
cash.
And on hand.
The spot.
On hand. They were crisp. I just made them like the night before.
Yeah, you did. You're over there cranking that print press.
I was, man. It was awesome.
Might have Homer Simpson on the front, but they're fresh.
Yeah, they didn't look. But yeah, it was a great day. Like I said, there's some tweaks we want to make, but overall, we're happy with it and excited for the next year already.
Yeah, me too. It's going to be good stuff.
And then just real quick on the Strava for the group, the distance, Dan Hawk, 117 miles and 0.2.
Where's Dan from? Do you know?
Yeah, I didn't look at that. But run time, he was there as well, is 35:27. And then, as you know, the store is down because we took everything to the Trail Festival. And so that'll be back up, Joel's hoping, by the time this show launches.
Yeah, it should be.
So we'll get that back up. There are some new things that haven't been on there before. We have some pint glasses.
Right.
We have some 50/50 water bottles that are ready to roll.
Right.
2 special edition colors. We got 2 pink and a military green that look pretty sweet. And then a couple odds and ends that'll be on there as well. So that should be back up for everybody to get their swagging rights. Because we did have some really good photos for Where'd Your Feet Take You.
We did.
We're not going to cover every single name.
Nope.
Just because there's something else attached to this podcast that we will let you know about.
Exactly.
But the winner that we'll see, did you see ones that you liked? Because I really liked Ryan Delaney's at Miwok. Did you see that one?
His was nice.
Wow, that was good looking.
Simon's was nice.
Yeah, that was really cool with the Opera House.
Right. I think I'm going to choose Simon's.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
he
Simon
deserves it.
in Australia was the winner this week. So that'll go up on the SingleTrack Session launch
on Thursday.
And thanks to everybody else, and we'll get back to the regularly scheduled announcements and stuff. But we're going to take a quick little switch break here, right?
Yes.
We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back.
Right.
Something totally different for the show.
Yes.
We've been asked. We've been approached.
Right.
Leia from the Ogden Standard-Examiner.
Yeah, from the Standard-Examiner, our local paper.
Is going to do a story on it. So she's going to interview us on our podcast.
She's going to interview us as we're. How's that going to work?
We're going to talk to each other on this phone,
there we go.
on the microphone. So
we'll be right. Too complicated.
We'll be right back with Leia from the Ogden Standard-Examiner in just a second. All right, we're back from a quick little break from SingleTrack Session again, number 38.
Right.
And as we mentioned, this is something different for us.
It is.
We're in Studio 78.
Right.
We're sitting in our normal seats.
Well, kind of.
Not for a SingleTrack Session.
No, we had to switch. I had to go from the captain's chair to the interviewer chair.
Yeah.
But we're being interviewed.
Yes.
The tables have turned.
They have.
Do you hear that giggle? That's an evil giggle. I like it.
I'm a little nervous. This never happened before.
I know.
So we're not used to it. We have Leia from the Ogden Standard-Examiner.
Right.
And she is doing a piece, I guess. Is that the best way to say it?
Sure.
She's talking to us.
Yeah.
How's that?
She's interviewing us.
Yeah. So we're going to turn the lead. We've never done this before.
I know.
This is uncomfortable. We're losing control. We're going to turn the lead over to you and see where this takes us.
I'll save the zingers for the end.
Oh, man. Oh, that's a payback. We do
like
those
that.
to people, too. So.
Okay, so why did you guys decide to start doing a podcast?
Well, I'll start, I guess, maybe, because it's going to be weird.
That's weird.
But me and Joel have run together for 8+ years, probably, or close to that.
Yeah, almost 10.
Yeah, and we
close.
We talk about stuff on the trails a lot.
That's where you solve all your problems.
It solved the world's problems.
Right.
Right.
Thought it was in the shower. It's on the trails, I guess.
Yeah, I don't solve anything in the shower.
No,
I'm in and out.
In and out fast.
Me
of the
too.
shower.
It's like a supersonic car wash. But,
yes, it is.
But I think for a lot of it, for me anyway, I guess I should say, is we've been thinking about it for a long time. Like we've just kind of thrown it out there, but neither one of us knew how to do it.
Right.
And we thought, man, this would be cool because we listen to podcasts, mainly trail running, and Joel listens to some others, but there wasn't any that I was I could relate to or felt like I enjoyed them. I don't say that. That's kind of bad. But nothing I connected with. There we go.
There you
I
go.
didn't connect with one.
Yeah.
And so Joel and I thought, well, we know some people, and we've been doing this for a while.
Right.
So why don't we do one?
Doing this as in we've been trail running for a while.
Yeah, we've been trail running for a while. We know some people in the trail running community.
Mm-hmm.
Let's give it a shot. It'd be
Right.
fun. And it took us, once we decided to do it, it probably took us 6 months or so.
So what was the timeline? Do you remember?
No, I mean, I know our first show
Okay,
launched.
when did we test it out first? It was in the summer,
It was June.
June of 2015.
Yep, June of 2000. No.
Was it 2015?
What are we in now? 17,
We're in
16?
17. It was 2015. Because wasn't it
No,
November?
2016.
Are you sure? No.
Nope, 15. Joel's right.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, because your first official podcast was November 2015.
She's done her
right?
homework.
Yeah, we love that. 'Cause
Yeah.
we do that. So, yeah, it was. It was June of
All right.
2015.
So leading up to that spring, we were talking about, we were discussing it, and we were like, well, what's going to be our angle? How are we going to approach this? How are we going to set ourselves apart? And at that point, Eric had his bus, and I said, listen, I have a good idea. What if we did the podcast from the bus, and we drove around to different events? We go to different trailheads and interview people. And so the genesis of the project came out of that.
Okay.
So we started testing it in the bus that summer, and it seemed like it was going to work really well. But the problem was we didn't know how to do this.
Yeah, and Joel's pointing at like the mixer board and
Right.
the computer and the microphones and electrical.
Yeah, all that stuff. The other stuff we could figure out.
Yeah.
We knew we can get better at that, but this took us a long time to get figured out.
Yeah, it did. It took us 4 or 5 months, maybe.
Yeah.
4 months. And we went through a couple different pieces of equipment.
Right.
We bought a first bit of equipment, didn't work right, so we had to
No.
get rid of that, get new stuff.
Right.
But I think, at the end of the day, a lot of it, too, is just we have a passion for trail running.
Right.
We love this area, when I'm talking about Ogden, but we love trail running in general and the people that do it. And so, I don't know, kind of morphed from that. But
Right.
it took us, we did a lot of research. Like,
We
we
did.
took months. Okay, what's the best day to launch a show? How long do you want a show?
Right.
You need to come up with your format that you like. You need to, all these different things. And so after a while, we just came up with our own outline or style we wanted to go into.
Right.
And the style hasn't changed a lot.
No.
Like the way we do it, we just are different on the microphone than when we first started.
Probably more comfortable now than
Yeah.
we first started.
Yeah, when we first started, it was ugly.
It was terrible.
Who would you say is your target audience for this podcast? I think I overheard you say it. You're local but global.
Yeah, see, that's kind of our motto now.
It is now.
Yeah.
When we first started, no, I didn't think we would get to that point,
Right.
like we did, like
And as quick as we did.
as quick as we did. We thought, this will be fun. We have some people that we can, bribe into listening to the show, and then
Right.
if they like it, maybe they'll tell their friends. I mean, social media, they can share it pretty easy with people, and
Yeah.
and the trail running community itself is pretty unique and it's pretty close knit, even though you don't know someone personally.
But
You
you have
know
that
them.
connection.
You have
Once
that
you know they're a
connection.
trail runner, you have that commonality with them.
Yeah. And so, like I said, we were blown away. I mean, honestly, we looked at stats from our Podbean launch and stuff and different things, and I'm looking at Joel, I'm like, someone in Florida just listened to us.
Yeah, he was so giddy about that.
I
You
would-
tell me every week.
Yeah.
Somebody we got like 30 different states now, and then there was like 2 or 3 holdout states. It was like Nebraska or
Yep.
somewhere like that. He's like, dude, you know somebody in Nebraska? I'm like, I don't know anybody in Nebraska. And finally that map filled all the way in. And then he was like, do you know we're in like 42 different countries now?
Yeah.
And then now it's like 68 countries or even more.
Wow.
It's more than that. Yeah.
So
And
when
I-
did you notice it started taking off and you were getting such a diverse audience?
I guess a lot of it depends on what the meaning of taking off is.
Right.
Because right out of the gate, I was happy, right? Because we
that's
talked about
true.
it. We recorded 3 shows before we launched one.
Right.
Because we wanted to kind of keep them after another to keep everybody, let's listen to another one. And,
Right.
instead of waiting a month or 2 weeks and forgetting about us. So, I mean, right out of the gate, I was happy we figured it out, really. The sound wasn't where we thought it needed to be. We both were awkward.
Right.
We recorded our first show 3 times before we were comfortable enough to let the world hear it.
Right. And our first guest, our good buddy Ty Draney from After Wyoming, he kind of, that little thing we did with you about the microphone, he's the reason why. Because he has microphone like this,
Away from his face.
which you can't hear very well. So that even was not good. So that allowed us to go back and re-record that show with him.
Yeah. So I think overall, I think every day now I'm more blown away. Honestly, like I I don't know if I've ever been more humbled by something, just because to me I still don't get it. Like when we get people that give us messages from other countries or take a photo of themselves in our beanie in Ireland or wherever it is. I'm like, what is going on here?
I know.
You
Our buddy Simon
in Australia. It's like we're best friends and we've never met. Right?
We've never met.
We've been in the same time zone.
He's been posting. So every Sunday we do this feature called "Show Us Where Your Feet Took You," and it's on Facebook. And so people from across the country and across the globe post where they went for that weekend for a trail run. And so Simon was really consistent, and then he didn't post.
Yeah.
And we're like, that's weird, because he's normally on top of it. And then we found out that he had a death in his family, and that's why he couldn't. So, we were talking to him on the back end of everything. And it's just crazy that you have that connection with somebody on the other side of the world because of this.
Something that we enjoy doing.
Yeah.
And when, his comment was, with the tough time he had, it lifted him up just for a minute. And I was with my family in World Market, shopping for some candy or something.
World Market?
Yeah, which is kind of weird, right?
I love World Market.
It's awesome.
I do too. It's cool, but you don't normally have Eric go in the World Market.
Yeah, we were going down to see Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
It was It was awesome.
Was it? Right on.
Yeah. But when he said that, I honestly got goosebumps and kind of, I didn't, but I almost teared up because I've lost two brothers. And so to hear that something that me and Jill do that we enjoy and that's fun, that kind of maybe helped him for a minute.
Yeah.
That kind of changed a little bit in my mind of what we're doing and what kind of effect people have on people.
Maybe the magnitude of what we're doing, right?
Yeah, I think so. And that's just one person. We've had people like even through states that we've got to know pretty well, and we have our core group for sure. I'd say.
Are you guys from Ogden?
No.
Where are you from?
Eric's from Ogden.
I'm originally from Roy.
Okay.
Yeah. ROY, ghetto Roy now. My hometown.
I grew up in Ohio and North Carolina.
What brought you to Utah?
I came out to Wyoming to be a ski bum, and so I did that for a while, and then I moved from Jackson. I moved from Jackson to Laramie to go back to school because it was time to kind of grow up, which I'm still working on. And then so I went to school for a while, and then my wife and we needed to go to a place that I can finish school that was close to the mountains because Laramie it's okay. I kind of badmouth it, but it's okay. But you're not close to the mountains like you are in Jackson or here. So the choice was Fort Collins or Ogden. And we had some friends living here, and we came over to visit them. I was like, dang, the access to the mountains is amazing. There's a university that's close by, and there's a big airport close by. So it won. And that's how we ended up here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good story.
I was just conceived and born here. Mine's not as cool.
You've had a hard time leaving, huh?
I've left a couple times, but I keep coming back. Yeah, I left a few times.
So I make Ogden your home base for this podcast instead of like Salt Lake City or somewhere bigger?
Well, personally, I absolutely love Ogden. I mean, end of story on that one. I mean, I grew up in Roy, in the early 70s and all through that, and Ogden was nothing like it is today.
Right.
But I mean, if you just get here and you look around, if you love anything about the outdoors, you just fall in love with it. You got skiing, you got hiking, you got biking, you got paddleboarding, fishing, kayaking, canoe. I mean, you've got everything here.
You do. And the access is what I think sells a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then another thing is it's up and coming. So meaning that the houses are not terribly expensive like they are in Salt Lake or like they are in Boulder or Bend or any other big mountain town. This is a mountain town, but without the kind of the growing pains that comes with it. So you don't have to worry about housing. Housing is here. You can find it. We love this area. And we want to promote it as much as we can. That's why we keep doing it here.
Yeah. I mean, Ogden really, too, is its own brand, really.
Yeah.
I mean, people hear of Ogden. It's been in magazines and you name it. I mean, our trail system's incredible.
Yeah, I was going to ask, where does Ogden rank among trail running communities? Is it well-known? Is it up and coming?
I think it's known. It's well-known by people here.
Right.
But it's almost kind of like a secret, too.
It is.
Right? Because people come here from out of state, and they'll, through social media, hey, I got business here. Where should I run or something like that? And they come here and they're like, they get blown away.
Right.
But it's not anything, I wouldn't say a trail running mecca.
No.
Like a Boulder, as far as people knowing about it and the iconic stature of it.
But if you match it up, if you match up the quality and the diversity of the trails, it's on par with, say, like Boulder. I mean, maybe not Jackson, just because the scale of Jackson's so much bigger. But maybe like Bend and all those other places, yeah, we can match them easily.
I would put it up with anybody.
Absolutely.
Just because
And
we've got the easy urban close stuff. We've
Yeah.
got the Ben Lomond Peaks. We've got
Right.
Mount Ogdens. We've got something for everybody.
And we do. And there's more stuff that's on the docket that's going to be, coming into the trail system in the next, say, 5 and 10 years
Yeah.
that will keep us on par with those other places, or, we'll have that advantage.
Yeah.
For
So
sure.
tell me about the Trail Running Festival, your first one. Was that something you guys always wanted to do, or is it something that just popped into your head recently?
Well, we've done trail races in the past.
Yeah,
about
long time ago.
8 years ago or so, we had the Northern Utah Trail Series, or
Right.
NUTS, and we put on, 3 to 4 races a year.
Right.
That only lasted a couple years because it got to the point where it's difficult to, A, get permits, because there's land issues in certain places,
Right.
and B, everybody wanted trail races, but no one would show up.
Right.
It's like, you guys should do this, and then registration opens, and can I volunteer? Or, they were not here, so it made it hard to sustain it. So we've done
Right.
that in the past. Gib Wallace race was probably our favorite
Right.
that we did for multiple reasons, and so we wanted to bring that back. So we've talked about doing that, kind of adding it to the Trail Manners umbrella, and then we just thought, let's do because of what we talked about, Ogden being a town it is,
Right.
how awesome it is. Let's promote it a little
Right.
bit. So that's where the festival came from. It started off as more of a film night,
Right.
and then a race.
Okay.
And then we thought, well, we could maybe throw this like quote unquote expo in to
Right.
promote local companies,
Mm-hmm.
but also do some more things, right?
Well, yeah, it was just about brand. It's like promoting the town and how awesome it is, and how luckily we are to have access to these trails, and so we wanted to show everybody else that too.
Is the trail running community in Ogden growing, or is it still pretty niche?
Oh, it's growing. I would say growing. I mean,
Oh,
it could be. You could consider it a little bit both, but I would say growing. I mean, we and Joel run a lot on the trails, and we see new people all the time, and it
All
depends
the
on what time you run.
Yeah.
But even at this festival, we were meeting people, and had some great comments. Is like, hey, I just moved to Ogden, and this is
Right.
the most amazing community. You guys get it. This community gets it.
Right.
Why you do it, and why people run on the trails. So I think the Ogden trail running community is incredible. I think it's amazing, and it's always been pretty supportive of what we do. But they also support local too.
Right.
Restaurants and places like that.
Right. I think that one of the things that shows how much it's grown is we used to come out and run, pretty consistently at 5 o'clock in the morning off of this trailhead here at 22nd Street, and nobody would be here. And then the other day, I think either you were here with me or I can't remember who was here. It was 5 in the morning. The whole parking lot was full at 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
There wasn't a parking spot to be found.
That's a lot of go-getters.
That is a lot of go-getters for 5 in the morning. But if you look at if you look at the other time slots, so like people are pretty consistent. They run at like 5, 6, 7, 8:30, 9:30. If you come to the trailhead at those times, it's pretty full. Like right now, if you look at it, it emptied
There's
out because
still more cars than I would have expected.
right,
For a
exactly. Actually, there
weekday.
was more cars when we got here.
Yeah.
A group of ladies had just got back from their run.
But you'll notice a lot of people run at the same times
They
on
do.
the same days.
Same
So-
days,
so
and
you see the same
you always
people.
cross their paths, and you stop and you chat them up on the trail.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not a trail runner. I'm probably the first non-trail runner you guys have had on this podcast.
Maybe.
Maybe.
But I do bike, so I know what makes
Right
a
on.
good biking trail. But what makes a good trail running trail?
Ooh. Man, that's a tough one.
Well, I think any trail is good.
I think so. I think everybody has their preference too.
Right.
Whether it's a rolling trail, whether it's a wide trail, whether it's single track, whether there's a lot
Right.
of vert, accessibility.
Yeah.
So I really think, and that's why I like Ogden, is because you have everything. You like depends on what you want to do. I want to do some climbing. Okay, well let's do Malins.
Right. Or let's go with the Ben Lomond.
Let's go to Ben Lomond. Well, I
Right.
just want a little quick cruiser run,
Right.
before or after lunch or something. You jump on the BST. It's endless.
Yeah.
People introducing. There's the fire road right below the trail where they can get up into the trail. I think.
Right.
I personally, it depends on my day. I love a nice rolling single track. Kind
I
of
like Icebox.
Icebox by Wheeler Creek Canyon.
So you know Icebox, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's like if I could run miles and miles of trails, that's what it would be like. It's mostly shaded, big, tall,
trees.
Trees? What are those trees up there, though?
The big ones.
Oh, help me out
Spruce,
here.
pine.
Spruce, yeah, pine. Thank you. They're pine.
I
Like that.
was
And
almost
it's-
out of guesses, too.
and it's right next to the creek.
Yeah.
What more can you ask for?
Yeah, it's pretty.
It's
Yeah.
pretty.
And that's
I
why I
love
think,
that.
and that's why I think it's so diverse here. Is it's you go to some communities and they've got one trail system,
Right.
not one trail head, but it's kind of the same
Right. We
thing.
have different ecosystems.
It's just so
here,
diverse
basically.
here. I mean, if you want to, we're talking about other things, but you jump down to Moab, you get something totally different.
Oh
with
yeah,
a
slick rock
3.5
sand.
hour drive.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're pretty lucky.
we
We're
are.
way lucky, and the trail system is maintained. I'm going to give a shout out to all the people that
I
help
know.
out because our trail system is just maintained so well.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that's kind of nice about Ogden is there are so many outdoor things you can get into. You know, we
Exactly.
have skiing, we have biking, trail
Right.
running.
You
So
do
why is trail
multiple
running
things.
your sport? Why did you choose trail running?
I think it chose me, and I don't mean that to be cliche. I hated running. I played soccer my whole life here at Weber State for a while, and I hated running. I never ran a road marathon, never did any of that, but a friend of mine did a 100-mile trail race and asked me to come along and check it out, and then the next year pace him, and I thought, this is no way. I don't like running. I just don't. But once I got on the trail, it kind of was my place, and I was never fast. I never have been. I've never been anything else, but when I get out there, it's just different. You know what I mean? Sometimes you're alone. Sometimes you're with a good friend. Sometimes you're your dog. But it's just, I don't know. It's one of the only places I think you can feel that sense of calm to where everything's right, even just for a minute, and
Right.
everything else is out the window.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get that necessarily from other things I tried. And it's so simple, right?
Right.
You don't need all the fancy gear, the expensive equipment. A pair of shoes and you're good, realistically.
Yeah.
And I think that's the simplicity of it. And you can complicate it as much as you want, but you put a pair of shoes on, you walk out the door, you're trail running.
Right.
And guess what? If you don't feel like running, you can just walk on the trail and you're
Oh,
still
yeah.
kind of out there.
I know, we did that the other morning.
Yeah, we did. We went
Yeah.
on a trail run.
Well, okay,
and
we didn't. It's not like we were walking and holding hands.
we were skipping.
We were. Oh, that's a new event. Trail skipping.
Yeah. But for me, that's what it is, and it's not expensive. I hate changing bike flat, so I don't like to ride my bike. So
You're not too good with the mechanics, huh?
I'm really not. I'm not going to lie.
No, for me, I grew up playing soccer too, like Eric did, but I also, we had a little ski hill in northern Ohio, and I started skiing. I really liked it. And when we moved to North Carolina, I didn't know it, but we had some pretty good sized mountains there, and that's where I picked up snowboarding. And that's one of the reasons I moved out here, and boy, I was into it deep, skiing and snowboarding in Jackson. And then I picked up climbing, and so I started climbing. Started doing sport, and then I moved into the trad routes, and then moved into the mountaineering. And then we would go climb big peaks in the summer, and we would run down. And we would get down fast, so that way you can have a beer fast or a pizza fast. And then one of my buddies got into trail running, and we were over, I remember this very specifically, we were over at City Rocks climbing. And he goes, I got to go run. And we're like, well, what the hell? We're over here to climb. He goes, well, I've got this race. It's called Bighorn. They got a 50-miler. I'm going to go run it. And we just didn't know. We didn't understand at the time. This was like in 98, right? And so I was like, all right, you go ahead. We're going to climb, right? Because that's what we're there for. And then we come back to Jackson, and he goes, well, why don't you come out and go running with me? I'm like, all right. Because I've been running down these mountains,
It's
right?
easy.
You've been getting 4,000 and 5,000 foot continuous shots of running down the mountain with a 25-pound pack on. How hard can it be to run up Cache Creek, right? So we're running up Cache Creek, and I'm like sucking wind because I wasn't in as good a shape as Jeff was. And I'm like, I kind of like this. And then we get attacked by a moose. And I'm like, this is really cool.
Wait, you got attacked by a moose?
Yeah, so it was in the springtime. We come around. If you ever been up to Jackson, you've been on the Hagen Trail. Hagen goes up the Cache Creek drainage, and then you come back either on the service road or come down Putt-Putt. And at the very top where Hagen cuts around, it's all marshy. And Mama Moose was there, a baby moose. And the next thing I know, we're up there. I see Jeff just bolting through the willows with this Mama Moose on his heels, just doing that number with the paw. You know what I mean? I'm
He's clawing.
I'm clawing here.
They
You
have
can't see it.
hooves.
He's like a
Yeah.
T-Rex
Yeah,
right now is what
exactly.
you
I'm
look like.
T-Rexing it. So, my other buddy, John, and I, we're hiding behind a tree, and she's like chasing us around the tree. And then finally she goes away. And that's all done and over with, and we're all happy we're alive. And I'm like, this is so cool, right? And then, we run down putt-putt, and putt-putt's like this classic single track where it's just got big, smooth, sweeping turns, and it's a roller, and you're coming back into town, Jackson. Life was good. I was immediately hooked. And just how it's simple and easy, like Eric said, it's just simple and it's easy. I have a pair of shoes, I can go out, I can decompress, I can solve all my problems. I'm more creative when I run.
Yeah.
Now, if I played soccer, last time I played soccer was probably 8-9 years ago. You don't get that same thing because you're worried about,
You're thinking about
tactics. You're trying to constantly move to open space. You're defending somebody. You don't get that same mindfulness.
And it's competitive
it
with
is.
Not just yourself but other people.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. It's like running's it's my bliss.
Yeah.
And I need it, and if I don't get it, I'm not as good a person.
Wow.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with everything that's said there.
Right.
I'm the same way.
Right. Like snowboarding, you kind of get it. You there's that one day where everything just falls away and everything's perfect, but for the most part, it's not that where you can just be mindful of what's going on. I love it.
Okay. Now, Joel, you're a trainer, right?
I've been accused of that, yes.
So, like you guys are saying, running is, the most basic, purest sort of way of
moving
being
through the
on a
mountains.
trail, of moving. But it seems like, correct me if I'm wrong, there are a lot of injuries in running. It seems very common.
Absolutely there is.
Why is that?
Well, because it's a very singular motion where you're just moving in basically one direction. Trail running, you're hopping and you're moving, and it's less repetitive than the road running is. And you're still going to get those same overuse injuries. And that's the main reason why. A lot of people that are into trail running or ultra running, we're putting in big mileage. And we're not usually doing the things that are going to allow you to be healthy. So you're not doing the cross training, whether that's strength training, whether that's yoga, whether that's climbing, something to offset that consistent linear progress of running. That's why people usually get hurt.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, and then there's the other part of that, too, is just not knowing what they're doing.
Right.
And we talk about it getting in too quick, too fast.
Oh, yeah. The fear of missing out is so strong.
You see other people doing stuff, and I want to go there, I want to see that, I want to experience this, but you're not there yet.
Yeah.
And so they try too hard, too fast, and you get the overuse injuries.
Oh, yeah.
Just with anything. But I think with trail running, you get that more because people enjoy it so much more.
They get hooked on it.
They get hooked on it, and they just want to do it again and again. They're like addicted to it, and then but they don't know how to do it the right way. Right?
There's a lot of trail runners that have borderline addictive personalities, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
There are some intense trail runners.
Oh,
yeah.
I've
Oh, yeah.
noticed.
Oh, yeah. We're not those people.
Unless ice cream is.
Yeah.
And cheese curds.
We got our own addictions.
That's right. I eat my feelings, too.
Okay, Eric, tell me about the van. How did you find it?
Honestly, a friend of mine shot me a text because so I had a van 20 plus years ago. It was a 71 bus. It was a Vanagon, so it had 3 seats, and it was just in beautiful condition. And I was younger and moved around a lot and chased my soccer dreams, so I was traveling out of state a lot. And I sold it, needed the money. I mean, who doesn't do that thing, right? And I regretted it for 20 years.
What color was it?
It was orange.
Was it? Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
orange
Did it
with
have the
a
white top?
It had the white top.
Was it orange all the way up to here, or was it half orange?
All the way to the top,
Nice.
till the very roof. And it was original owner I bought it from. It'd been in
Whoa.
storage for 15 years before I bought it.
Wow.
It was
that
almost
is
in mint.
fine.
It was almost
Wow.
in mint condition. So when I went to test drive that one, he put it on. It was an older guy before social media, before KSL, all that. It was like a newspaper article. And I went and showed up. And right when I showed up, I was the first one there by the time I got home. On my way back from my test drive, there were 9 people waiting.
Whoa.
And so I passed the guy's house and went straight to the bank.
So even back then, the vans were.
Oh, they were.
Van
And
life
I'm-
was a thing.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
And then for 20 years, I've just wanted another one. You say van life, but a friend of mine in college in Oregon owned one, my roommate, and we'd travel to Seattle in it all the time. And it's just the experiences, the memories, kind of the Americana behind it, if you will. I mean, it's just something. So I looked for a long time, and I wish, honestly, there's a few I passed up on that I should have bought, but I didn't realize how skyrocketing they'd be in price and quality.
Yeah.
So
Or
one
not very good quality and still.
super ridiculous
Yeah.
price. So a friend of mine was driving up Ogden Canyon one day, saw one sitting on the road for sale, took a picture of it, sent it to me. I went and checked it out. Had another buddy of mine, Lane Fark, he came with me like 3 or 4 times to look at it because, I wasn't ready to drop money on it because I'm like, man, does it run? Is it going to run? I was like, oh, we can do it. And finally, I kept waffling on it. And one morning, my wife says, if you don't go buy that today, you're little. And she swore at me. And I looked at her, and I'm like, okay. So we went and bought it. And honestly, it's been one of the better things I've done just because it's not run a lot. It's been in the shop a lot.
Yes.
But when you're in it, my kids love it. My family loves it. And then you see people you pass on the road, or they pass you, sorry. I don't pass anybody on the road, and they just smile. And people come up to you and say, oh, I had this great experience in a bus when I was little. And I don't know. It's just fun. I love it. I'll never get rid of it.
I love that you found it in Ogden Canyon.
Amen.
It's almost poetic.
It is.
Was
it
that
really
across
is.
from Indian Trailhead?
Yeah. And this guy had it for years, and he had like 4 or 5 cars, and he needed to sell one of them, and this was the one he put out that day.
He knew where to park it to get some
And
visibility.
I was honestly surprised. I guess I shouldn't say that. I mean, the price on it was, at that time, I thought a little much. Now, I don't think so whatsoever because they're going for ridiculous amounts. I've had it for 3+ years. And I could turn around and sell it today for more than I paid for it without trying.
Right.
I love the interior. It's got the original green plaid upholstery and the wood paneling. So what what modifications are you going to do?
Really it's just the upgrading it. I don't want to change what it is.
What do you mean upgrading?
So just redoing the upholstery. A new engine would be fantastic.
Like a VW engine or a conversion?
A conversion would be nice. I've heard pros and cons. Running is number one. If it's on the road, I'm psyched.
Right.
I don't care what it looks like. I don't care anything else, as long as I'm driving it, because that's the funnest thing in the world.
Right.
But after the engine part, I want to redo the interior. I want to keep it original, though.
Oh, okay.
But it's hard to find someone that does reupholstery because you can find the exact same material. So I want to keep the same plaid, green, and yellow material.
Right.
I would probably redo the sink area with something brand new, just for more storage, more usable for me. There's a sink I won't use. The spare tire's sitting right next to you, heading in this little box here. But that's probably it. I would just keep working on the inside. The last thing I want to do is the exterior. Keep the original color, which is green.
Yeah.
Just make it look pretty again.
The exterior looks pretty good.
It's a project.
Right.
I go to VW shows and I saw one that looked just like this but minted, and I asked the guy, how long did it take you? And he said 8 years.
Yeah, but do you want it minted though? Don't you want that you can drive it? Because I think if you get at that point where you're minting it out,
you don't want to drive it.
You don't want to drive it.
You want to take it off road.
Exactly. You want it to be functional.
And I want to drive this.
That's right.
I'd never want it to just sit. I think it's a disgrace.
It is.
It needs to be on the road.
Right.
And what's the farthest from home you've taken it so far?
Let's see, 22nd Street Trail. No,
Exactly.
it's been to Salt Lake a few times, and it's more me. Like I think I could get and drive a 3 hours in it right now. I really do, but it's just the fear of what happens if it doesn't make it 3 hours or wherever I'm going. Because I've had someone that's even worked on it says, yeah, you could take it here and you could take it there, but it's just I don't want to break down.
Right.
I don't like fixing things. Remember.
Yes.
And why podcast from the van?
Like Joel said, it's different, right?
Well, it also, you have this instant connection with somebody. It puts them at ease. When they sit in that captain's chair like that, at first they're nervous, but then,
two strange guys get in my van.
Yeah, we got some candy. Come here. We just thought, at first nobody else was doing it, right? It was a novel idea, but we thought it was a viable idea because in the trail running world, van life and going to a race or going on an adventure run, you're most likely to camp, right? And so the VW bus is associated with that so strongly. We thought, well, this will be a good way for us, one, to break the ice with somebody that we're interviewing. Two, it's going to be great for branding.
Yeah.
So we started thinking about that early on. How can we make our podcast different than everybody else that's out there and everybody else that's coming on? Because there's a bunch of them that have just launched in the last 6 months or so.
Podcasts.
So that was the main reason why we did it. And it's just cool.
Yeah, and it's it's a 1978 VW, and we call it Studio 78.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and we incorporate with our logos a lot, and people identify to it.
And we just doubled the studio.
Yeah, we got a new member to the family.
So Eric's got his bus, and I've got a bus now.
What?
My bus doesn't run.
Yeah.
It needs a lot more work than Eric's does. But we'll have a double Studio 78.
His is a 78.
And it's green.
What?
Like his. It's actually blue right now, but the original color's green.
Wow.
Yeah.
You guys have started something.
It's a revolution.
Yeah.
Okay, but the Ogden Outdoor Adventure Show with the Banyan Collective, they also broadcast out of a van. at the trailheads. So do you guys
Okay.
have like a good nature rivalry with those guys? Or
So how do you want to answer that? I'll answer it. All right. So they're good guys and we like them, but they got the idea from us.
Oh.
They did. I'm just going to be honest. I can remember this very specifically. We were asking for help about podcasting then in that summer, and we were sitting at Slackwire talking about it, and we told them our idea about podcasting from the bus.
Uh-huh.
And next thing you know, that idea became theirs.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't mind that somebody's going to borrow a good idea. We do it all the time.
Yeah, you have
But it's
to almost
important that
do.
you say, hey, this idea came from here, and then we're going to try to, work it into our own concept, which is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of how that came about.
All right.
We get asked that quite a bit.
Do you really?
Yeah, we do, and
Well, I
we
mean,
try
you're
to
the
be
same-
diplomatic
We're in
about
the
it.
same community.
We
Yeah.
are.
And you see everybody, the same
Right.
people and everything, and we've known those guys for a long time.
Right.
And I've been on their show 2 or 3 times before all this, and before we launched our podcast, we went directly to them and said, "This is our idea.
Right.
We want to do a podcast, but it's about trail running. It's
Right.
not about necessarily Ogden. We don't want to step on your toes. You've been
Right.
here a while. We're trying to do that." And so we went and talked to them first, to
Right.
let them know, hey, this is what we're doing. Is that going to be okay with you? And they were
Right.
okay with it. They were like, yeah, sure. And there's some other background to that, but yeah, I mean that's kind of the
Right.
gist of how that happened.
Exactly. And like I said, even though we're local, we're global. So I don't see that competition there.
Mm.
We don't look
For-
at it as a competition.
Right, exactly.
Sure.
I think just like where the idea came from, that I think that's, gosh.
That's really the
Yeah.
only cross is just
Exactly.
the van thing. I mean, other than that,
we're trying to be careful. You can see that,
Right.
yeah, because what they've got, they've got a good thing going, and they have for a long time.
they've got their
been
own
doing it a
niche.
long time, and they've got their own place, and
Right.
we just wanted to do our own in a different realm, pretty much.
Right.
Yeah.
Who does all your logos and your merchandise?
Ooh.
Well, we've had logos from a couple different places.
Right.
Original logos came from a gentleman down in southern Utah is going to SUU.
Uh-huh.
I think that's SUU, I think is the name of it.
There's a couple down there. huh?
Jeremy. And he did great with our first 2 logos. It kind of branded who we are, which are our main logos. We have a guy, Stacy Barker, up at Barking Goat Studios in Pocatello, a trail runner. He's done a lot of our
Right.
past logos with the van and different things. And I think that's where we're at right now. Because we've got a
Yeah.
few different for festivals. He did
Right.
that one, and the Studio 78, and the Gear Garage, and
Elevation Culture did one thing for us.
Now
didn't
Go
they?
Get It. Yep, Elevation Culture is a company out of San Diego. They did one with
Wow.
our podcast established in a certain date because they did some woodworking for us.
Right.
So, but it's kind of that trail running community,
Oh, that's nice.
and we've people enjoy
You
it.
just networked and found people that do graphic design.
Yeah,
and-
exactly.
And that's what
That's
we do.
nice.
It's shameless plugs on the podcast. Hey, we're looking for someone to do a logo. We got this
Right.
cool logo. Me and Joel don't make any money with the podcast, so it's
Right.
not like we can just go out and buy a logo or have someone
Right.
design it. So we ask, and people are pretty receptive. Hey, we'll trade some gear or do this,
Yeah.
and we've done that before.
So anytime we sell something, we just put it around, put it back into product.
Okay.
And we do all our gear at the Sign Garage on 25th Street. They do all the printing.
They're
Yeah.
great.
They're
So
awesome.
they do the
Yeah.
printing. They do all the water bottles we do with laser engraving. They've got really cool ideas. Just a great. I mean, Elizabeth and Nate are the best, really.
Right.
And so we just try and keep it local as we can.
That's great. Okay, so are you guys both on the Ogden Trails Committee?
Eric is.
I am.
You are?
Yeah,
Okay.
Ogden Trails Network. Yep.
So if you could change one thing about Ogden Trails, what would it be?
Oh,
Someone gave the Trails Committee a blank check. What would you use it for?
I would buy a piece of property on the side of the mountain that's owned by Chris Peterson. I would buy that.
Okay.
That would be
Yeah.
the first thing I would do without even trying. And I would probably I'd do that and buy a new shovel.
Okay.
A new shovel, huh?
Yeah, I need a new shovel.
There's a whole bunch of shovels right there.
I know.
I'm glad you opened that can of worms because I know that's one of the biggest controversies with Ogden's trails locally is a mix between private and
Yeah.
public land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is it like working with him and what solutions do you see there?
We don't work with him, and it's not because we don't want to. It's just something that we don't do because it's
You'd let the legal team handle that.
it's a kind of a legal thing just because of what he's doing and different things. So we kind
Right.
of stay out of it.
Do you need to give your listeners a background as to what is going on?
I think a lot of
there, or
people
do
have
they
heard this
know?
story already,
Okay.
but I think that quick background is the foothill trails, our urban trails, are mixed between Forest Service, Ogden City, and then there's 2 main landholders.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 families that hold land that trails go through. One family's super cool.
Yeah,
They don't care.
long. And they
Yeah, I mean they don't.
They don't.
I mean, that family, they're clients of mine.
Yeah.
So they're cool. The other guy, he's been rather difficult to work with.
Yeah.
I think his ultimate goal is to keep increasing the value of his land to sell it off, but he's threatened to shut it down because of litter, because of vandalism, and he has.
Do you feel like those are legitimate?
I do, because to be honest, that waterfall drainage gets hammered every weekend by people who might not use the trails consistently, so they don't know the etiquette. So I see quite a bit of trash in the upper part, so above the Bonneville Shoreline Trail, where people stop to take a break, whether they mean to or not, they leave their trash there.
Yeah.
And it's below that, it's not so bad. Every once in a while you get something, and you're going to get that anywhere.
And I think below that, too, more people pick it up, but
They
not
do.
as many people go up high that want to carry stuff down. Because, I mean, anybody,
Yeah.
I mean, me and Joel and hundreds of other people, when they're on the trail, you'll pick something up if you see it.
And the vandalism, it's not as bad as it used to be. Kids used to go up and tag rocks quite a bit. So that's really slowed down.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know.
Outreach or?
I think it's a combination of outreach and, to be honest with you, those people are lazy and they don't want to go that high and put that much effort into getting to a location. They'd rather just pull into a parking lot like ours and do a spray paint thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's a lot of it. But the Trails Network, Weber County, Weber Pathways, Ogden Trails Network, you know, there's adopted trail programs. There's more people on the trail taking care of the trails now. So hopefully people don't see it as much. It's not that it wasn't there, but it's taken care of quicker.
Right.
Because I know with the Ogden Trails Network, that's something we try and do a lot. You know, there's a lot of graffiti that people don't recognize. We try and get it done quick as possible. Shad from the Front Climbing Gym's been awesome with, you know, that just in the last 2 weeks. But I think that's a lot more. There's more people involved now because Ogden is getting that loving to be in the mountains. So I think more people are taking care of it on their own.
Okay. What other solutions do you see with growing traffic on the trails? Them kind of being loved to death.
Yeah, they are,
It is,
and that's a problem. And just recently, because I'm on the Ogden Trails Network, one of the things I've been tasked with is we bought trail counters that we've put in a couple trailheads to kind of get an idea of the numbers that are on the trails. And for that, you know, we're hoping future maybe it'd be something where we could get grants, where we could get some funds to maybe build more trails.
Can you share some of those numbers? What are we seeing?
God, I wish I could. I just don't know them off the top of my head. They're more than I would have ever anticipated. We've only had them at 2 trailheads. They've only been up for like 3 weeks. But the numbers are, I was looking at them going, holy crap, that's more than I would think. But you're talking about a whole day. So I don't have that number right now with me. But, you know, there's been ideas of, hey, maybe make a trail above the Bonneville shoreline that's used more for...
Like a mid-mountain trail.
Yeah, like more for...
well, maybe like you're supposed to go
advanced,
or you're supposed to go north on that trail, right?
Something
like that, like a directional almost.
So there's been some ideas.
That sounds like it would take a lot of work.
Oh, it would. I mean, there's nothing that's going to be solved anytime soon.
Even that connector trail for the BST was...
Well, and a lot
years
of it
in the
is,
making, right?
Well, it was.
And a lot of it, too, is finances because there's just not money. And, you know, to do anything before you touch anything, it's got to be engineered, and that costs a lot of money.
Environmental impact.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. And then, you know, like Joel mentioned, Forest Service, it's not like they can just, hey, let's build a trail. I mean, that's a government thing. And the Forest Service here, I want to tell everybody, Zach and his team here are amazing.
Yeah.
They're all about increasing and making things better, but they also have a boss. So
they got to do things the right way.
Yeah, and I think that's happening more with Ogden Trails Network, Weber Pathways, Forest Service working together on projects. You get them done faster, money's moving around. Like
that collaboration seems to be more than it has been in the past.
It's the best I think it's ever been personally.
And with the Forest Service, you know, that bridge over in Buse Canyon got replaced pretty quick.
Yeah, within 2 days.
Yeah. In the past, it would have been, we'll look at it in the next couple of years.
Yeah, and it's better now for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, talk to me about motorized use, because that seems to be causing a lot of issues, especially on the Skyline Trail.
Yeah. Boy, that's a tough one because they got nowhere. I mean, they can go up to Monte Cristo and ride, right? I'm assuming they can.
Yeah.
So that's relatively close, but if I was a motorized user and I looked at all these people that are non-motorized users, I'd be really envious of them. I'd be like, man, you guys got such close access. Why can't I have close access? And that's been kind of like a precedent. That motorized use has been there forever. I mean, look how deep that trough is on part of the Skyline. So I think if you took that away, there would be a pretty big stink because those guys expect to use it. They kind of think it's right now. To be honest, I'd like to see it go away. because there is so much use by pedestrians, foot traffic.
Families,
Yeah, and
kids.
especially kids. Foot traffic, bicycles, there's so much use up there. I don't think it's compatible, to be honest. And I don't think it's compatible to have some horses up there, too.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes it tough in spots for
It
sure.
does. I mean, you've got this animal that's just big and can be fairly unpredictable. That would hurt to get kicked or get thrown off that.
And I think that's what you come across when you have a town like ours we've talked
Right.
about before, where it's
So
right here
diverse.
and it's diverse. I mean, because I love horseback riding.
Right.
I don't do it often. I don't have horses, but I love it.
Mm.
I'm not a motorcycle guy, but it wouldn't say I would jump on a four-wheeler or something if I had. But I think
Right.
you come down to what you were talking about is there's only so many trails.
Right.
And the locations are, well, that's closest to my house. I'm going
Right.
there, and it's legal, so I should be able to go there. So I don't think anybody's at fault, but I think it's growing so much, something's going to have to be addressed sooner
Right.
than later for the growth. And, again, like Joel mentioned, it's not like you want to kick anybody off the trails because it's their right to, but it is going to be difficult to find that happy medium where it is safe, where
Right.
people can do what they enjoy.
It's all about that safety issue.
Yeah.
And what do you do about going off trail? That seems to be. As a committee, have you talked about the off trail use?
Not a ton, just for the simple fact it's hard to see and hard. I mean,
Right.
you can go off trail and you can scamper up the front side of Lewis Peak, but is that
Right.
illegal?
Mm.
I don't know. Is it?
It's not.
I don't think it is.
It's not. I mean, you go to Antelope Island, and for years you couldn't go off trail there, but
Right.
it's a different entity. So I think the biggest caveat here is it's not building trails.
Right.
That you just like, it'd be cool to put a trail there. I'm going to build one. That's a
Right.
no-no at the end of it. You cannot do that.
You're not supposed to.
Yeah, you're not
You
supposed
know
to.
it happens.
But I mean, going off trail, I mean, people do it. That's what hiking started out is just
Right.
hiking
Following
somewhere.
game paths.
Or cairns or
Right.
whatever it is. So, and there are a lot of people that don't know where the trails are or
Right.
if that is a trail or a game path. And we have so many spider trails
Oh my gosh.
up here
yeah.
that you just don't know. And so one thing you'll start seeing here on the Ogden bench here is there's going to be new kiosks everywhere with maps on every single trailhead where you're at and the actual trail, which I think will help a lot of people, especially out-of-towners.
Right.
Okay.
Or I think those people that don't use the trail all the time, it'll help them with etiquette.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Trail manners. Oh,
Whoa.
did
Yeah, how
there.
did you come up with the name for your podcast?
I don't know.
To be honest with you, so here's what my nickname's Manners. That's what all my friends, people have called me since my soccer days. And so, of course, when social media launched, man, you need a cool handle name. So I went with Trail Manners. And then that's just what my personal Instagram was for
Right.
when it started. So when me and Joel started talking about this, I said, well, what do you want to name it?
Yeah.
What do you want to name the thing? And he's the one that said, just keep it Trail Manners. And so
He's the
that's-
spreadsheet guy. I'm the idea guy.
yeah. So that's where the trail, I mean, it just kind of came. That's why.
I like the names with layers of meaning.
It has
Those are
a
the best ones.
It has a few, and even the Manners nickname comes from a long layer, so it's a pretty thick 7-dip bean dip right there. We talk about food a lot on the show, too.
And beer. We haven't talked about beer yet.
I know, right?
Okay, so last question. If somebody wants to get into trail running and ultra running, but they're intimidated, what is your advice?
Oh, man, because we ask this to people all the time.
We do.
We do. This is kind of weird. You know what? I think it goes back to what we said, just me and Joel said earlier, is just it's simple. You know, don't overcomplicate it. Don't
Right.
overthink it. Because a lot of the transition comes from road. People that run on the roads want to run on the trails. It's
Right.
It's more rare for someone to say, I'm not active, but I want to run trails. I mean,
Right.
that's not as common. So for me, it's the same thing that a lot of guests have told us, and the way I got into it is just do it for the right reason. Do it because you want to do it and you want to enjoy it. Don't do it because your friends are doing it. Don't do it because you want to run a race. Don't do it. Do it for whatever reason you want to do it for. What if you want to lose weight, if you want
Right.
to get more active, if you want to see things.
Right.
For me, it's just like enjoy it. Don't be too serious,
Yeah.
because that's when you're gonna not do it for the right reasons. You're not gonna
Mm-hmm.
love it. You're gonna force yourself. People force themselves to go to work every day. Don't force yourself to do something so beautiful and easy.
No, wait a minute. She's got a good job right now.
I'm not
She's in the
pointing-
What do you
captain
mean
seat.
right now?
I'm not pointing at her.
She's got a captain seat in the bus.
Yeah, I'm
That's
not-
a pretty good gig.
Well, I'm not pointing at her. I'm just saying people.
I'm
in
just
general.
saying.
I know people that have to go to work every day.
Oh, yeah.
Not me. I love my job, but
Yeah, you do. You
But yeah,
just-
I mean, I think that's it for me. Is just keep it simple, do it for the right reason.
Right.
We just had Anna Frost on the show, and she said something that's going to stick with me the
Oh,
rest
yeah.
of my life. Summit your own mountain.
Right.
Do it for you.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter how fast you are, how far you go. I have people talk to me all the time. well, I only ran 3 miles a day. That's nothing for you. And I'm like, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Because
you got outside.
Yeah, you got outside, and that's good. It's not me. And 3 miles for me today would be fantastic anyway.
I was taking 3 miles today.
Yeah, so I think that's mine. Just do it for the right reasons. Yeah. Enjoy it, because that's what it's for. It shouldn't be to the point where it's work.
It should be fun.
Yep.
Who said that? Who's the guy that we interviewed that said?
Eric Johnson?
Yeah, Eric Johnson said, if it's not fun, it's not worth doing.
Yeah.
I've actually interviewed Eric Johnson.
He's crazy.
He's awesome.
He is. He's very intense.
He is very intense.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought that was a good mantra to live by. If it's not fun, it's not worth doing.
Well, because it is choice. You're not forced to do anything, and so just enjoy it.
But take your time getting into. I mean, it's so easy to just go down that rabbit hole
and just be immersed
into it. But take your time and be a student of the activity. Right? Understand where it's come from. Understand those people that have helped build it up over the years.
Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah, gosh, there's so many people. There's
sounds like it's a pretty welcoming community.
Yeah, there's a good chance there's going to be somebody in your friend circle that's a trail runner, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is.
And you can talk to them, and then they can either help you or they can point you in the right direction. Because there's so many groups along the Wasatch Front that are made up of trail runners.
Yeah.
You have the Wasatch Mountain Wranglers. They're the big one. They've got 4,000 people in their group right now.
Wow.
So you can get in that group, right? And then you can find your own little subgroup, right? So the Wranglers are Utah, basically whole Utah now. There might be a group here in Ogden. There's a group down in Salt Lake. There's a group down in St. George. You can get them that subgroup and start running with them to kind of ease yourself into the trail running.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to run with a group.
No, that's always fun. It's fun.
It's so much fun.
And
you learn a lot that way. You get to meet new people. You get to see new trails.
And be surprised at other people's experiences.
Oh, yeah.
Why they got into it, where they're at now. And I think that's motivating for anybody.
I think that we've heard more amazing stories from our guests because they are in the trail running.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that is. I don't know why that they gravitated towards trail running, but they all seem to have a really unique story or background.
Thanks for the interview.
Thank you for the interview. This is different and fun.
Yeah.
This was fun.
I think is that all you have for us?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Nothing too painful.
That wasn't too hard.
Yeah, that was all right.
She said she was going to be mean.
I know, right? Or zingers.
I didn't say I'd be mean.
Did you bring zingers, did you say? Oh, I thought she said she was bringing zingers.
Yeah, she did. She said she was going to save it for the end.
So the raspberry ones with the coconut?
I was going to say, wait, is that the new IPA?
All right, well, thanks for the interview. And that's the end of our interesting
single track
session.
Right.